My husband lied about being on male birth control, now I'm pregnant again. I thought I knew every detail about my husband. I thought I could trust him with everything, especially something as huge as family planning. But here I am, staring at a positive pregnancy test, wondering if the man I married is lying straight to my face about being on birth control that doesn't even exist. Hi, I am Claire, 25 years old. My husband, Daniel, is 23. We've been together for almost 4 years, married for 2. We have 1 child together, a sweet little girl who just turned 1 last week, and I have 2 older kids from my previous relationship. 3 kids in total, and now, somehow, I'm pregnant again. I've always been careful about family planning. After 3 difficult labors and complications in the delivery room, I swore I'd be done after my youngest. I started using the NIVering to avoid surprises. We were saving up money to move out of state for a fresh start, away from chaotic family dynamics and into a safer, quieter neighborhood for the kids. The last thing I wanted was another pregnancy. So when I saw the 2 pink lines, my stomach dropped. At first, I thought it was just bad luck. Even with birth control, there's always a slim chance. But Daniel's reaction wasn't shock in the way I expected. He was confused. Almost offended. I don't understand, he said, running his hands through his hair. I'm on birth control too. I blinked at him. What do you mean you're on birth control? He sat down heavily at the kitchen table. The doctor gave me pills. Male birth control. I've been taking them for over a month. For a moment, I thought he was joking. There is no FDA-approved male birth control pill. I would have heard about it, there would have been news headlines everywhere. But Daniel was dead serious. He swore up and down that he had been prescribed a pill and had been taking it religiously. Show me, I said, arms crossed. Show me the bottle. The prescription. Anything. He hesitated. I threw the container away. Then tell me the name of it. I don't remember the name, he mumbled, avoiding eye contact. That was when my heart started pounding in a way that had nothing to do with the pregnancy. Something was wrong. Very, very wrong. At first, I thought maybe he was lying to get out of responsibility, but that didn't make sense. Daniel was a devoted father and a loving husband. He adored our daughter, and he had always said he wanted a big family one day. So why would he make up something like this? My second theory was scarier. What if his doctor was experimenting with unapproved medication? What if Daniel was being used as a test subject without understanding the risks? That idea made me feel sick to my stomach. If that were the case, I needed proof, and we could sue. Daniel, I'm calling your doctor, I said firmly. His eyes widened. No. Don't do that. Why not? I snapped. If your doctor really prescribed you something this serious, we need answers. If this is some kind of experimental drug, we're not letting them get away with it. Daniel froze, and I saw something flicker in his eyes. Fear. Guilt. Confusion. He didn't argue again, but his reaction made it clear something wasn't right. The idea that he might not be lying, but that something might be deeply wrong with him, sent chills down my spine. Over the next few days, I started paying closer attention to Daniel's behavior. I realized he had been acting oddly for months, forgetting simple things, repeating himself, and occasionally spacing out mid-conversation. I had chalked it up to stress. He works in HVAC and has been pulling long hours. But now, in the context of his insistence that he was on male birth control pills, I started wondering if it was something more serious. I confided in a friend, who suggested I post on Reddit's relationship advice forum. I hesitated. Airing my personal business online wasn't something I normally did, but I was desperate for insight. The responses were a mix of sympathy, disbelief, and genuine concern. A few commenters mentioned schizophrenia, citing the strange belief about birth control pills and his memory lapses. At first, I dismissed it. But the more I thought about it, the more the pieces started to click. Daniel had been moody lately, paranoid even. He'd make offhand comments like, "I know they're watching me," or "That's not what really happened," even when nothing unusual had happened. I thought he was just tired. But what if he was really struggling with something deeper? I sat Daniel down for a serious conversation. "Honey, I think you need to see a psychiatrist," I said gently. "You've been forgetting things, and now this whole birth control thing. I'm worried about you." At first, he bristled. "You think I'm crazy?" "No," I said firmly, taking his hand. "I think you're stressed. And maybe your doctor missed something. If you had a broken leg, you'd see a doctor, right? This is no different." To my surprise, he agreed. He even scheduled an appointment for the following day. That was when he admitted something shocking: he had been taking an antidepressant his primary care doctor prescribed. He thought it was birth control because the label mentioned reduced libido as a side effect, and he thought libido meant fertility. My heart sank. This wasn't malice. This wasn't betrayal. This was a misunderstanding, one that made me realize Daniel might not fully understand his own mental health needs. That night, after our daughter went to bed, Daniel and I sat on the couch and talked for hours. He broke down crying, confessing that he had been terrified of having more kids but didn't want to hurt my feelings. He thought taking what he believed was a birth control pill was a responsible choice. He felt like he was failing me as a husband and a father. I held him and told him I wasn't angry anymore. I was scared, yes, but more than that, I was grateful he trusted me enough to open up. We decided to take everything one step at a time. He would see a psychiatrist, we'd get clarity on his medication, and we'd make a decision about the pregnancy together. Final update. Daniel's psychiatrist diagnosed him with severe anxiety and early signs of psychosis. It was terrifying to hear, but also a relief. We finally had answers. He's now on medication that actually helps, and he's seeing a therapist weekly. The antidepressant he was originally prescribed wasn't wrong for him, but he misunderstood what it did, and no one explained it clearly. As for the pregnancy, I decided to keep the baby. Not because of pressure, not because Daniel is Catholic, but because after everything, I felt a strange sense of peace about it. This baby wasn't planned, but maybe that's okay. We're working through things as a family, and while it's hard, I know Daniel is trying his best. He apologized over and over for the confusion, and I realized something important: sometimes, it's not about betrayal or lies. Sometimes, the people we love are struggling in ways we can't see, and they need help, not anger. We're not perfect. But we're getting there. If you made it this far, thank you for reading. This journey has been a whirlwind of confusion, fear, and love. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: always communicate, always ask questions, and never assume your partner knows everything about their own health. And if you're ever worried about someone you love, encourage them to get help. You might just save their life and your relationship.